Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to today's Wednesday webinar. We're going to be talking about professional standards, how you can successfully complete your annual training hours during coronavirus social distancing. So thank you for joining us today. My name is Molly Stenburg, and I'm pleased to share this important topic with you. We feel like it's really timely information, and I think we'll get some great ideas from our attendees as well today. So as we go through, if you have ideas or things that have worked well to do professional training in your schools, please feel free to share that with us as we go through. Thank you for starting to sign in through the chat box. We will be using the chat box as the sign in method. So if you would sign in with your name, your school name, and an email address, that way we'll know who's on today. And if you have coworkers that are sitting in with you, please feel free to list their names as well. Right now, all of the attendees are on mute, but if you would like to unmute at any time and ask a question or share information, feel free to do that, and you would just unmute yourself by clicking your little microphone, and it will turn from red to green. You can also ask questions through the chat box. This webinar will be recorded and we'll post it to the school nutrition website in MAPS. And then we will send a follow-up email message out to anyone who attended that provided an email with a link to the recording, and we'll also give you a certificate of participation and a few handouts from today's training. So this webinar is sponsored by Montana OPI School Nutrition Programs and Montana Team Nutrition, and it is being provided with support from a USDA Team Nutrition Training Grant. Okay, friends, so let's go ahead and jump on in here. These are the lovely ladies, lovely and fun, I should say, ladies that will be presenting today. And Gretchen Groves is a new staff at Montana Team Nutrition. She started in December, and she's been working mostly with the 2019 Team Nutrition Grant, and she's really looking forward to getting out to the schools and meeting you guys in person. So I'll let Gretchen, I think she wanted to say a few words.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties. Yeah, I'm really excited to meet you all. But virtual meeting you is a great start.
Great. And then we have Caroline Olson with us today. She's the Region 2 specialist for school nutrition programs, and she's also the fresh fruit and vegetable program manager. And then just looking at the chat box, I also appreciate and see that we have Rochelle Davies is on. She's one of the regional specialists. And is there anyone else? Clay, are you on?
Deb and Aaron too.
Okay, great, Deb and Aaron. I guess I was looking at the wrong box. So if you guys have things to share as we go through, we welcome you to share your expertise, and feel free to help answer questions as we go through. Okay, so today we're going to give you a really brief review of the USDA professional standards requirement. We'll help you determine how many hours are required for your food service staff and how you can easily document those hours. And then also identify there's so many opportunities for free online professional development training, both through the state, things that Montana programs have developed, but then also available nationally. So the good news for all of us is there's lots of options available for professional development. So in these changing times, wow, I don't think any of us would have ever thought how much our world would change in the last few weeks or even in the few months. So we want to tip our hats to all of you that are serving meals at this time. You're really supporting families that are stressed and you're helping nourish kids so that they stay healthy and they're able to learn. So as we think about how our meal service platforms have changed, we're also we'll be thinking about how we're able to do our professional training or what we're going to do for professional development. That will be changing as well. So just like you guys are so good at rolling with the flow, you'll be able to figure out ways to get your training hours in that will not stress you. I can see that we have Camille on now, so that's great. Thank you, Camille. And Kelly Johnson is a specialist in Region 1. Okay. So I think many of you have seen this handout as one that school nutrition programs designed years ago. Maybe it was Emily Dunkley with her great formatting skills. Any school that's participating in a federal school meals program needs to meet the professional standards requirement. And so this in a nutshell is what it looks like. And there's 4 school nutrition program positions. So the positions are either the program director, and for most schools, that would be the food service director. So if you're the person who's really overseeing all aspects of your school nutrition program, if you're administering it, planning, directing, assessing, evaluating, if you're running the program, then you are the program director, and you would require 12 annual training hours. If you're the program manager, and oftentimes in Montana schools, that could be either the site manager for a satellite kitchen, someone in charge of the satellite kitchen that's overseeing food production and service there, or if you're in a large district and you have numerous sites, or possibly if you're a head cook in a larger program. So if you're a program manager, you would need to get 10 hours of annual training in. For everyone else, support staff, cashiers, anyone else working under the school nutrition program, if you're working greater than or equal to 20 hours a week, you would need 6 annual training hours. And any staff working less than 20 hours a week would need 4 annual training hours. And please remember that any training that lasts 15 minutes or longer counts towards these hours. So if you are, I know you're doing lots of teaching, so any teachable moments that you are doing in your kitchen can be counted towards those training hours, which is really handy. Okay, so training for professional standards is categorized into 4 key areas. So these 4 areas would really encompass almost all of the things that you are doing or things that you're proficient in or would be teaching your staff to do. And that would be nutrition, operations, administration, or communications and marketing. So you will be documenting your training hours throughout the school year, and we will talk and show you some simple, really simple methods on how to do that. I've listed a couple websites for you here. If you're looking for lots of information on professional standards, I think the best place to go to first is the Montana School Nutrition Program's professional standards page. And then if you need the USDA professional standards, the official information, you can go to their page as well. Okay, so let's talk about some tips that we can use or talk about to help you track your training hours. So the first thing that you're going to do is identify which position you and your staff are in. And so when there's only 4 categories that you can fit into. And again, that's the program director, manager, staff working over 20 hours a week, or staff working under 20 hours per week. One good little tip that I learned from Caroline Olson when we were preparing for this webinar is your professional standards time frame, or the year that you're tracking your professional standards in, runs from July 1st to June 30th. So we can see that, hi Lisa, we can see that when we're talking about lots of school nutrition staff like to and prefer to get their training hours in at the summer conference. And because the summer conference will not be held in person or virtually this year, there's other options you can do in the summertime to get these hours in. So if you are trying to get your hours in before July 1st of this year, you still have lots of time to do that. And you'll see that there's many things that you can do. One nice thing is that hours completed in the summer can apply to either the school year that's just finishing up. So if you're doing hours this summer, you can apply it to the 2019-2020 school year, or you can go ahead and apply it to the 2020-2021 school year. So you can apply it to one or the other, but not to both. And if you can come up with a really simple system to document and keep track of those hours, you'll have smooth sailing from here on out. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what counts towards your professional standards training. So this is just a list of things that I just put together and that Caroline said, most people are amazed at a lot of the things they're already doing does count. So it's just a matter of knowing that what you're doing, that you can count that. So if you guys are doing civil rights training for your staff, if you're doing an in-service on kitchen equipment, if you're doing an in-service on job safety, or if you're reviewing your HACCP plan with your employees, if you're all going through category 1, 2, 3, or 4 recipes, and how you take care of those recipes. If anybody's talking about standardized recipes, either introducing your staff to new ones or talking about how to develop those throughout the school year. If you're doing a review of offer versus serve, which is an excellent way to get everybody on board with how that works at the beginning of the school year, you could be demonstrating what portion sizes are so your staff can really become experts at eyeballing what a 1/4 cup of carrot sticks looks like versus a 1/2 cup of carrot sticks. So any in-person training counts towards professional development hours, but also anything done online counts as well, as long as it's 15 minutes or longer. So I'm wondering if anybody would share in the chat box, what do you guys do right now that you always count towards your professional development training? Are you doing anything in your kitchens for your employees that really works well to count towards this? Serve Safe certification training, yes. And if you're doing the 8-hour Serve Safe, whew, that's almost all your hours in one training. Food safety and sanitation, yes. Wednesday webinars, those add up for sure. Civil rights training. Shelly from Deer Lodge, I think, and we just did a fun little game to see who could eyeball measurements the best. I guess we could use that. Yes, and that's a great way to get out some portion cups and actually put those servings on a tray and make sure that you can identify the difference. We do learning lunches We take an hour once every other week to go over training materials or topics. Great. Now, I think I missed one up here from, oh, watching webinars. Yeah, there's so many good webinars. So if you can keep track of what you're doing, things that already work into your regular routine or things that you're already doing with your staff, that makes it even easier because it's not requiring any extra time or resources to do that. Whoop. Whoa, sorry, you guys. Okay, so when we suggest that you have a simple system to track your hours, when we say simple, we truly mean simple. So the only three things that you need to keep track of to document your hours are: when did the training happen? So the date the training occurred, what was covered, so what the subject matter was, and how many hours of training were provided. So how many hours are you claiming for this professional development event? So thinking that you just need to keep track of those three things, don't overcomplicate it. When the specialists come to look at your professional development tracking or to check this during your review, you'll want to make sure that the director is keeping track of the annual training hours for themselves and also for their employees. Certificates of participation are not required. So we all like to get a certificate of participation, and it's nice to keep those in your book to keep track of, but they are not required. And then would encourage you to come up with a tracking system so when you are under administrative review, you can say, yes, I do track professional development hours, and this is how I do it. So use a tracking system for that. Oh, Lisa, how should we track it? We're just going to talk about that. I'm just going to step back if it's okay with you guys. We had a few more training ideas. We made pizza in parfait cups with flatbread. So if you're demonstrating a new menu item, you could count that as a training. We have played hangman for new staff to learn some of the terms lunch folks use. That sounds really fun, Cindy. Student safety and emotional support. Yes, so there's all kinds of topics, especially now, that really relate to how food service staff can really support students. We also sat and went over the tips on Facebook posts to get new ideas for our kitchen. Wow, you guys are doing some great things. Okay, so let's talk about how you're going to track this. Options for tracking your hours. There's two different options that we're going to show you today. The first one I'm just going to show you really quickly is the USDA Professional Standards Tracker tool. And it's available at this website. You would need to create an account to use this tracker tool. And unfortunately, it has a lot of broken links and it's a little more cumbersome to work with. So while that is an option, we would prefer that you find an easier tracker tool to use, and Montana School Nutrition has developed one for you. So Caroline Olson a few years ago developed this tracking tool, and it's available in maps on the School Nutrition Program's website. So if you go to the School Nutrition Program's main page and go into the Agreements, Claims, and Data section, and you will log into Maps. And once you're into Maps, you will go into the Download Forms section. And if you scroll down to Professional Development, actually it's Professional Standards, and it's listed right here as the tracking tool. Okay, so when you download that tracking tool, you will see that it is an Excel file. And I'm going to try to make it a little bigger here. Okay, so this is what the Montana Professional Standards Tracker tool looks like. And it's an Excel file. If you look along the bottom of the bottom of your page, you'll see that there's 4 different tabs or sheets in this Excel file. And the first one is just an instruction page. And this just provides simple instructions on how to use this tool. This tool will help you identify the 3 simple things that you're tracking. So the second page is your employee info. So on this page, you would list all of your employees, the date they were hired, what their title or position is. You could list a brief list of their responsibilities or their core duties. And then moving over, you would say if they're a full-time or part-time employee. And if they are part-time, list how many hours they work per week. Do they work 20 hours, 10 hours, 30 hours? And then the last column of the spreadsheet is you would choose which of the 4 positions they are in. So if it's a program director, they need 12 hours. The manager, 10 hours. If it's staff working 20 hours or more, 6 hours, and a staff working less than 20 hours, they need 4 hours. Okay, so once you have your employees listed, then you'd go into the 3rd tab on this sheet, and this is the hours of tracking. So like if you were going to count this webinar today, you would, well, let's go up here first. You'd put in your school district name, the school year that you're using to track, and then the date of the training. So we could put in today's date. This is a Wednesday webinar on professional standards. The key areas we talked about, there's 4 key areas that we are, 4 categories that training can be provided in, and that's listed on the 4th or the last sheet in this Excel file. So for today, I would count this as an administration topic. Human resources and staff training is 3,400. So for this particular event, we're going to count it as training code 3000. So we'll put 3000 in here, and this drop-down menu lets you choose. This is an administrative training. And if we go for 45 minutes today, that would be 3/4 of an hour. So we'll do 0.75 hours. And this, where you see the names coming across the top of this file, to put in the names of your own staff, you just click on the top here and type your name in. So if I wanted to put my name in here, I'd type that in. I'd go to the next one and I could put Gretchen. I could go to the next one and put Caroline. So from your second page where you listed all of your employees, you would carry all of those employee names over and put them at the top of this table. And then throughout the year, you will keep track of what trainings you and your staff are doing. And at the bottom of this table, you'll see that it automatically adds up all of the hours for each employee that has a spot in this table. So it's really easy to use, and we feel like that it's a little more manageable and a lot more simple than the USDA tracker tool. Does anybody on the webinar today have any feedback? Have you used this tool, the Montana tracking tool, and did you like it? Or has anybody used the USDA tracker tool online? And do you have any feedback to share about that? Camille just put a comment in the chat box that this is an excellent way to monitor your professional development hours for your staff without having to save certificates. So thank you, Camille. That's one less item of paperwork you have to deal with. There's no certificates needed for this method. We are going to send you a blank copy of this Excel file as a handout from this webinar. So you can either download it from Maps or you can use the Excel file that we'll be sending you. I guess we have so many regional specialists on the call. Specialists, do you have suggestions or advice for schools on how they can track this? Things that you've seen out in the schools that worked well? Or schools, if you have questions for the specialists, you could ask them now as well.
Hear me?
Oh, now I can.
Oh, good. I was gonna say that if another good thing about if you wanted to use the Excel for your way to track your methodology, you can keep a blank copy and then just, create a new file for each school year. Like you can go, straight from that blank copy and save it as school year 2021, for example. And then you can already have all of your, say you already have all your employees in it, and then just, transfer that over to the next year and start tracking for the next year, if that makes sense. But, like we said, if this isn't, I've been to plenty of schools where maybe the food service director isn't as comfortable with computers or isn't as tech savvy per se, and that's totally okay. If you wanted to do it, like Molly said, don't overcomplicate it. If you wanted to do it on just, hard copy paper, and that way, don't feel like, that you're doing it wrong if you're not, using like the Excel or anything. It's here for you to make it, for your convenience, basically. So definitely whatever works for you, because it kind of goes both ways. I've seen both. I've seen schools where, this makes their life so much easier because they can just go in and enter it. And then I've seen, schools where they love the hard copy method. So don't think that, it's wrong, as long as you're keeping track of those things that Molly talked about, those, when it happened, how long, who was there, and what was covered, then you're on your way for sure.
Thank you, Caroline. There's some good stuff coming through the chat here. Deb Jones suggested that big programs that you might attend or conferences, you might save the program and highlight the sessions you attended before you put it in the spreadsheet. And I know I do that just tracking my hours continuing ed for dietitian. When I go to Montana SNA, I circle the sessions I did and I keep track of per day how many hours, and then I just write it on a sticky note and put it in my folder where I keep track of my hours. So if you guys like the certificates and you only have 2 people in your program, you can keep your certificates and just on a sticky note add up how many hours that your certificates show for the year. So like we said, you could use an electronic method if you'd like, but you certainly don't have to, just as long as you're tracking those 3 simple things. Rochelle Davies said staff that are hired and start after January 1st midway through the school year are only required to get half of their annual hours in that first year. That's good to know. And then Erin Turner suggested it's definitely easier to track hours as you go instead of trying to remember every training to enter it in at the end of the year. So even if you can just track as you go, it will really save you time later. Okay. Any other questions or comments about tracking methods? Okay. Let's then turn it back over. Oh, I'm going to turn it back over to Caroline here in a minute to talk about something that's not my area of expertise. But before that, I just wanted to throw out this idea, and I'm curious if any of you are already doing it. I guess one good thing about professional standards is it really brings to light or elevates or makes it more visible that you guys are professionals, and your school district should really view you as the professionals in school nutrition. So you're the experts. So if you could talk to your administrators about ways that you could build professional development into your school year's calendar of PIR days, that'd be great, because it would make it easier. You wouldn't have to leave your school to get the training, and you wouldn't have travel costs associated with it. So if your school is one that brings in your employees for a beginning of the year orientation, maybe it's possible that the school food service staff could do that as well. If your school is offering training through regular PIR days for all of the school staff, if it's a topic that is pertinent to your school food service staff, it'd be great if they could sit in on that training as well. And if the topic isn't pertinent, perhaps they could have their own little track and bring in a speaker or watch a webinar or something that's really specific and pertinent to them. Or I know some schools in the state, specifically like the ones in northwestern Montana, like Libby, Troy, Eureka, they get together for an afternoon on a regular PIR day, and they do a training with their food service staff. So they could bring in a sanitarian. They could possibly host a farm to school showcase, or they could do a school health or safety topic. So if you can think of ways to make professional development part of your school year calendar or regular PIR days, I think that will really help, especially into the fall when we're looking at schools that are really scrambling to get kids caught back up, and maybe they are short on budgets and not wanting people to travel. So, okay, with that being said, I'll turn it over to Caroline to quickly talk about this topic.
All right, can you hear me again?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks, Molly. All right, so this is the reverse of our professional standards handout. Molly already showed you the first page earlier on. This lays out the hiring requirements for new food service directors. Okay, so before, if you've never looked at this, don't panic. This is for when school districts hire new program directors. The USDA came out with hiring standards because, like Molly said, you are professionals, basically to kind of benchmark, what's required of the position to really justify it. And basically, it goes based on your student enrollment. I know, like, we have a lot of smaller schools, a lot of, as you can see, most of our sponsors fall under that less than 500 students. And so wherever your district falls, these are the requirements for when you hire a new director. So that being said, before anyone panics, don't worry if, when you got hired, if you're looking at this and you're thinking, okay, I didn't meet any of these. We're not gonna like take away your birthday because, that happens. If there is, if you're in a region where the district, is unable based on the candidates that apply for position to meet, at least one of the following under whichever category you fall, we have, we have ways to accommodate that. As Molly put a square around, OPI school nutrition programs can approve a candidate who meets the educational standards as listed with less than 2499 students, but has less than 3 years of experience. So there is wiggle room, because we understand, especially if you get into a really rural area, that the districts aren't always able to meet this. So no matter what, don't panic if, like, for some reason you're discovering that it wasn't satisfied when you got hired. That's in the past, but going forward, these are the requirements for when districts go out to hire. Just to kind of keep in mind, and to know, what I think it helps a lot of districts, especially if they're in a situation where they aren't lucky enough to have, their previous food service director stick around and train their newest, their replacement, basically. We all know that a lot of districts have gone through that, and they might not have any clue of what to be looking for. So this has helped districts to make sure that they are, hiring a candidate who satisfies the needs of the position. But these are the official USDA requirements. And basically, yeah, it goes by enrollment, and then just meeting one of the requirements in that category. Oh, I also wanted to say, on our earlier, Molly talked about our professional standards page on our website. We have a link to, if you need to request a wiggle room. I'm not thinking of the correct technical terminology right now, but if you guys, as a district, you're not able to meet the requirement and you need to request an exemption, we have a form on our website to go through to do that on the professional standards area, and it's called Request for Hire. But if anyone has any questions, you can always reach out to your regional specialist. You can type them in the chat box right now. You can email anyone from our office, and we can get them answered for you.
Great, thank you, Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Gretchen now. And so Gretchen, I'm going to try to make you the presenter.
Perfect. Can everyone see the PowerPoint now and hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so now that Molly and Caroline have provided such a great overview of what the professional standards are and how to track them, you may be wondering, where do you go to find professional development activities? We know that many of you probably rely on workshops or the School Nutrition Association conference to get your professional development hours. And as we are in kind of different times right now, we wanted to make sure you were aware of everything that is online or in a remote learning context so you can still meet your hours. I'm going to start with talking about some of the resources that are available in Montana. I'm going to provide a brief overview, and then I do have a resource to share with you guys that will have detailed links and names of different trainings that you can do. But I just wanted to let you know where to go first. So in Montana, Montana Team Nutrition, Montana Farm to School, and Montana Office of Public Instruction school nutrition programs all have really wonderful resources available for professional development. I like to encourage people to check out the Montana resources first, because we know that, Montana is a unique state, and sometimes we have unique challenges as well as benefits to operating school nutrition programs here, because we're such a large rural state and we have just sometimes a different experience than that of the national school lunch programs. So if you want to go get more specific and maybe more relevant suggestions, Team Nutrition, Farm to School, and OPI are all great resources for that. Montana Team Nutrition and Montana Farm to School both have a website as well as YouTube pages. The YouTube pages have archived webinars that we've done in the past that you can go back and watch. And then the Montana Office of Public Instruction, School Nutrition has archived webinars in their MAPS website as well, so you can log in and find those. And then they also have their website has a variety of professional development activities, such as a local school wellness policy course that you can look into. There is also national resources. So these are just a few of them, some of the biggest ones that I found when I was looking into this. The first is the School Nutrition Association Training Zone. So they have weekly live webinars. They have webinars on demand, and then they also have training modules. Just be aware that most of what the School Nutrition Association has in their training zone is free if you're a member of the SNA already, and they're not always free if you're not a member. However, if you they recently have had a lot of COVID-19 webinars, and all of those are free to non-members. So even if you aren't a member of the SNA, you can go back and watch. I think they have about 4 or 5 webinars on COVID-19 that are all about an hour and 15 minutes long. So that would be a great place to go. The Institute of Child Nutrition has an e-learning portal that has over 35 different topic areas, and they have quite a few different videos and self-paced online courses. I really like this resource because you can do it on the computer or you can do it on a smartphone. So for those of you who maybe have staff who are at home who don't have access to a computer, or maybe you are still in the kitchen but you still only have one computer, if you can have staff watch these videos and do these courses on their phone, and that might be an easier way for them to participate. They have topics for the ICN. They have food safety. They have things like farm to school. They have culinary trainings. So they have videos on like herbs and spices, scaling recipes, that sort of thing. And then they also have things on human resource, like conflict management or motivating staff or financial management. So I think there's really something for everyone. And then there's 2 food handling courses that are available right now. The Serve Safe has a food handler course that's free until tomorrow, April 30th. So if you decided you wanted to brush up on your food handling skills, it would be a great day today or tomorrow to sign up on that while it's still free. It includes a course and an assessment. And I think you have 90 days to do it, so you can do it self-paced. Food Handler Solutions also has a 3-module food safety and food handling course that's free and available right now. And then the USDA has a professional development database that has all sorts of trainings and workshops and online webinars from across the country. I will caution you that this can be a little bit difficult sometimes to directly get linked to where you want to go. So if you are on that website and you find a training or webinar that you're interested in, you could always search it in Google, take the title and the source and put it in Google and see if you can find it, if the link or if the instructions aren't available in that way. So to give you a little more detailed look at this, I'm going to show you the resource that Montana Team Nutrition created with the help of OPI as well. So this is the Montana Team Nutrition website. And if you go to the Professional Development tab, we have this information up here that talks about online professional development. We do have a fill-in-the-blank certificate that's available, but if you click on this online professional development opportunities, we have done our best to compile all of, well, not all, but a majority of the online webinars and learning opportunities that we have. So it has the name, the source, when it was made. So if you wanted to start on the most recent ones, you could do that, and then a direct link to that training. So if I clicked on this link right here, it would take you directly to the YouTube page that would allow you and your staff to watch the Feeding Students Safely in COVID-19 grab-and-go meals that Katie Bark with Team Nutrition did just at the beginning of the month. So we were hoping with this resource it would make it even simpler to be able to kind of look at what's available and then pick something. So this is COVID-19 school nutrition that we did with OPI Webinar Wednesdays. I listed these free videos from SNA on COVID-19. I believe Dale Hayes is in one of these as well. There's topics like food safety and food allergies from Montana Team Nutrition. There's quite a few videos on smarter lunchrooms and school wellness. So if you wanted to brush up on any of these topics, you could go back in and watch them. And you could go also to the website, like if you wanted to watch the Smarter Breakfast webinar, you could go and look at the Smarter Breakfast scorecard on the Montana Team Nutrition website as well, if you wanted an interactive piece. Montana Farm to School and Harvest of the Month. There's quite a few wonderful videos for that. These Harvest of the Month videos are really well done, and if you were looking for some inspiration, they're a great place to start. I know for me personally, I've been cooking a lot of lentils and chickpeas, and I've gone back through and looked at some of these videos and some of the recipes on the websites to get some inspiration. For those of you, you know, Cindy, I think you mentioned that you do Hangman with new staff. If you ever wanted to adapt or create any interactive activities for your staff, such as watching a video and then making a recipe, that would be a really awesome thing to do, and it might be fun for your staff to be able to participate in a kind of hands-on way. And then some further resources. So OPI created a local school wellness policy through the OPI Teacher Learning Hub. It was created by OPI S&P specialists Jackie Roller and Rochelle Davies, and it's all about school wellness policy, and it's self-paced, and it's a really great course that you could take if you had some time and wanted to do that. Again, the OPI Webinar Wednesdays, there's quite a few archived. They cover topics such as the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, claiming reimbursable meals, verification of free and reduced price meal applications, USDA foods. Just there's so many out there, you could learn anything you wanted to learn. And then of course we have these resources on pleasant meal times, smarter lunchrooms, breakfast before lunch or recess before lunch, etc. And then again, here are these national resources down here. I'm going to stop and look. Are there any questions so far? I know I kind of went over that a little bit quickly. Okay, I'm going to just quickly show you some of the websites. So this is the ICN e-portal, and you can go in and see all of the awesome videos that they have. You do have to create an account, but it is free. So you would go up here and register and create your account, and then you could do all the videos you wanted. I'll show you the course list. You can sort by hours of instruction. So if you were incredibly ambitious, you could do all 12 hours in one course on financial management, or you could just do a 1-hour one. And it also tells you target audience, so you can kind of tell if you're assigning videos to staff, you would be able to tell what would fit them based on their job title. And like I said, there's just a lot of really great videos on here. This is the SNA training zone. So you can see they have Webinar Wednesdays and on-demand webinars. And then this is the COVID-19 series. If it has this, you know it's going to be free for you, even if you are a non-SNA member. You do have to create a guest account to watch those, just so you know. Okay, and then Rochelle, I saw you ask where it is again. I'm just going to go show you guys back where that resource is. So if you go to the Montana Team Nutrition website, click on Professional Development, and then click on this Online Professional Development link. it will take you right to this resource, and you can download it and save it for, save it on your personal computer if you would like. And we will try to update it as needed. Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Oh.
Hi, everyone. This is Katie Bark and Gretchen. The one thing that people are wondering about in the chat box is how to give ServSafe training, because they, a lot of times they get it at the annual conference. So I didn't know if the only thing I could think of is we could reach out to our MSU Extension State Specialist, Brianna Roth, to see if any of the county agents, Molly, they used to do a lot of ServSafe training, and I know, I don't know if they're doing it anymore, or does anybody know if Cisco or FSA, or not FSA is no longer, doing any kind of ServSafe trainings around the state?
I have not been in contact with Brianna Roth for a while, so I can, and she's the MSU Extension, I can ask her if now is a good time to update the training schedule to see what's going to be out there. And I wonder if they will be doing group trainings in the fall, or we can also find out if people want to take it online. We could try to find a proctor for different areas of the state. Because I think when you take the online class, you still have to sit in a computer lab with a proctor. And so Camille and I can work together to come up with some ideas on finding a local dietitian or extension agent or a county sanitarian that could help proctor an online exam.
Thanks, Molly.
Does anybody else have ideas on how to address the need for ServSafe training this summer?
I will just clarify so the food handler one, you don't need a proctor, but that is not the managerial one. So if you had staff who wanted to just do that one, that's can be online without a proctor. But again, it's not the same as the managerial one. Just so I don't know if it's a little confusing.
Yes, good point, Gretchen, that the difference, because since that 8-hour one that I would imagine most food service directors are looking for is the managerial. But that's still a good point for their staff, though, that they can have access to that online without the limitation of a proctor. Yeah, as far as right now, I'm like right this second goes, obviously we don't have the answers that everyone needs, but like Molly said, we'll work between Montana Teen Nutrition and OPI. We'll work to get some more information to you guys. I am also wondering about like the fall, if they will be offering, what it'll look like. I know for a while, all of the like the testing centers where where you can get that kind of thing done were closed. But obviously that was, much more, that was weeks ago, and I have no idea what it looks like right now. But yes, but I honestly, I had thought about how everyone relies on conference for, their overall hours, but it had not struck me that so many people do the ServSafe at conference yet. So I will definitely also bring this up to Louise Chandler, the president of the Montana SNA board, and try to see if we can brainstorm some things, because I am the OPI representative on the board, and I know that we've, obviously had many discussions about conference and how that is affecting everyone, but we haven't specifically talked about ServSafe and how we can refer people to get that certification and by other means. So I'll also reach out to her.
Caroline, this is Katie again, and I think that's a great idea. And I realized that in doing that webinar with the Department of Public Health, about school safety precautions, I remember the sanitarian saying that they have approved, I thought, 3 other programs for the managers to get food safety training that is not serve safe. And I haven't had a time to go back to her and ask which ones those are. So I'm wondering too if there's some other options. I'm not sure if there are any of them online, which I think people want now, but we can check into that too.
Yes, good point. There are other options. We talked about this as our office talked about this with one of the like state level sanitarians, and the names of the other ones are escaping me right now as well. So if any of the specialists remember, definitely throw it in there. But there are other options as well that are approved. Yes.
And it looks like Aaron Turner put a link in the chat box with maybe the link to those options. It looks like, Aaron, I don't know if you have a microphone or not, if you want to expound on that.
Hi, this is Erin. Yeah, I found a link to the Montana Department of Health and Human Services, or the montana.gov website, and they have listed contact information for proctors who provide services and their contact information throughout the state. So it just may be another option to check it out. But I do know that health departments or the county sanitarians, most of them will, you can set up an appointment and they can proctor you for it, for the exam. And ServSafe does provide online training, so they can get all the materials and everything to practice for the test, all the learning materials through ServSafe online at their own pace. They don't have to do that part in person, but to actually get the exam, it does need to be with an actual proctor.
Thank you, Erin.
Does anyone else have any other questions before we kind of wrap it up so we're not going over time? Oh, and we will be sending you the slides of this, and I believe this webinar will be posted in Maps, and we'll be sure to get that ServSafe information out to everyone as soon as we maybe know a little bit more.
Gretchen, this is Katie, and there was one more question from Lisa I from Florence Carlton about salad bars. And I think her question was, will we even be able to have salad bars possibly next year? And I just know that FDA, the Food and Drug Organization, has information on their website about food and salad bars during obviously a pandemic, and obviously right now during them they are not recommended. So until we know more where we're at in the fall, I think it will just depend on if we're still in pandemic mode. So salad bars or food bars or buffets are not recommended during that, obviously now. So hopefully that answers your question, Lisa.
Great, thank you, Katie. And if you do have questions, this is a great segue to just a reminder that tomorrow we are having another School Nutrition Thursday chat. So that's April 30th from 3 to 4. And this is a great opportunity for any of you to jump on and ask questions with Montana Team Nutrition and the Office of Public Instruction School Nutrition staff. So any questions or any thoughts, feel free to join that. Every time we've had one so far, we've had really great discussion, and we've been able to hear a lot from people in schools from across the state about what's going on in their school districts. And then on May 6th, we have the Summer Food Service Program 101 webinar. So if you have questions about that, that would be a great webinar to join. And then on May 13th, there's a MAPS Applications 101 webinar. And if you have any other requests for webinars at this time, please feel free to pass them along to us. And then here is our contact information for Montana Teen Nutrition and OPI School Nutrition Program. So I think that will wrap that up. Thank you so much for attending, everyone.
I'd just like to end by giving you all a happy National School Lunch Hero Day is on May 1st. And we'll be celebrating all of you and thanking our lucky stars that you're in our lives and for all the great work that you do.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. We are just so appreciative of all the work you're doing.
Have a great afternoon, everyone.